Hi guys, today I want to share my experience with a 7-day juice cleanse that I've done. Today is day 7, so I've made it, yay! It's pretty much sleep time, so I thought it would be a good time to record this video and share this experience. Obviously, before I start, I just want to say I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist or a scientist. So you should always get the advice that you need and listen to your body and your heart above everything else. My intention with sharing this video is that if you're inclined to try something like this, if you've been thinking about it, if you've been thinking about detoxing for a while, my intention is that this video is able to help you make up your mind and give you an indication of potentially what to expect. Based on my experience. Obviously everyone's experience is different, but I think there are likely to be similarities. So I was actually inspired by this documentary I watched on Amazon Prime. It's called Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. It revolves around this Australian guy who's 41 years old in the documentary, and he has this autoimmune disease which causes him to flare up all over his body for just any reason at any time. And he was like taking a bunch of medicine and was overweight and generally just feeling like unwell and stagnant. And 41 is quite young to be feeling that way, I think, at least to be on like a whole bunch of medicine. Obviously depends on the individual, but he obviously felt that, you know, he could that he need not be in that situation. So after consulting his doctors and so on, he started a 60-day juice cleanse. And he actually ate nothing during that time. For those 60 days, he just had green juice. I think it was about 2 to 3 times a day. And at the end of the 60 days, he was a changed man. His skin was glowing. He obviously lost all the weight. And his hair, if you look at the documentary, I kind of thought that it went back from gray to his natural color. There was a lot more of his natural color in there. I think it was like blackish, brownish. And mainly he managed to stop all of his medicine. He came off his meds, which I think is incredible. And the documentary basically talks about how our modern diet is the cause of a lot of our diseases these days, and diseases that are like so common in modern society. I'm sure you've probably read or heard countless times that, you know, processed foods, refined sugar and gluten and packaged foods and processed meats, and also meat in general, can be incredibly harmful to the body. But I think watching a documentary like that and going through a detox yourself really makes it real for you. As a background, I have been going through a detoxification process for quite a few years, so I haven't really had alcohol for about 5 to 6 years, and my consumption of gluten and sugar is very, very low, and I cut out meat except fish a few years ago. And I usually avoid kind of processed and refined foods anyway. So the point of sharing that is because obviously any kind of juice diet, or even just drinking green juice a couple of times, is a very, very intense detoxification process. So if you're somebody who consumes a lot of refined foods and processed foods and toxic substances on a daily basis in your general life, then you are likely to experience a detoxification that is much, much more intense and felt quite intensely on the physical level. It's quite common for people to experience intense bowel movements and headaches and other kind of pains and aches and physical symptoms that are temporary, but they feel very, very intense. But as I said, because I live quite a healthy lifestyle, I think that my physical symptoms were probably a lot milder than what someone who is new to this kind of diet may experience. And also, when I initially started juicing, I did which was a few years ago, I did experience those symptoms. And my experience with the juice cleanse this time, which was 7 days, was quite different to a previous juice cleanse that I've tried, which was only 3 days. And I'll talk about that more in a bit. So during my juice cleanse, I would eat bananas, oranges, and almonds in the morning during work. At work even, and during lunchtime I would just go get a vegetable juice from a juice shop near my office. So as a side note, I don't recommend drinking fruit juice, because just from my research, and this is just my own opinion and my instinct, that fruit juice is basically just liquid sugar. So if you want to get the benefits of fruits, I would really recommend just eating them. I think if you want to get the benefit of juice, you're just better off, especially for a detoxification process, to drink vegetable juice rather than fruit juice. So obviously this week I haven't, in all of my juices, I haven't had any fruit juice. It's usually been a combination of spinach, carrot, celery, cucumber, and beetroots. So yeah, I would buy a juice at lunch from a juice shop near my office, and then I would come home and make a juice for myself for dinner. I didn't think that I needed to cut out all food. As I said, I did have fruits and nuts. In the documentary, the guy cuts out all food except juice. But as I said, I think because of like my usual healthy lifestyle, I didn't think that I needed to cut everything out like that, and I thought it would be okay if I had fruits. So in terms of the experience, on the physical level, it felt extremely clean. I don't really know how to translate the feeling into words exactly, but it just felt as though every inch of my body had been scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed and vacuumed. It's an incredible feeling. Other than that, at around day 3 or 4, I had massive bursts of energy, and I felt that I could just run and run and run. And I also felt a lot of clarity and focus in my mind. You almost feel as though a lot of congestion and blocks in your being are being cleared up. Finally, around day 4 or 5, I completely stopped craving food, which is really, really strange for me. I eat a lot. I eat healthy, but I eat an absolute load every day. So that was a really surprising and unexpected result. And it almost felt that craving was replaced with like a really peaceful focus and grounding. So those were the kind of physical experiences. But I always think, and you'll probably find if you read reviews of other people who have done juice cleanses, that the effects of a juice cleanse are infinitely more emotional and spiritual than they are physical. The changes that you experience on a subtle emotional level are very intense as well. And on a more like emotional and spiritual level, I felt as though some conflicts and confusing thoughts in my mind, which have been there for some time, they started clearing up. Like resolutions became available in my mind, and there's certain things for which I was looking for ideas. I was looking for progress, and I had just been blocked for some time and felt that I was out of ideas, and it was as though ideas just suddenly became available. It felt as though a fog kind of cleared up in my being and my mind, and that these ideas and resolutions and things, they had always kind of been floating around in the ether and the vibration around me. I just didn't have access to them, and that, you know, the cleanse kind of cleared that up, and I was suddenly able to access them, you know. And that was really interesting to me because sometimes you feel that the resolution or the solution to something that you're looking for is maybe far in the future. It's it's in another time. It's, next year, it's some other time. But sometimes it's just a matter of like clearing something up, clearing a block, and you realize it's right there. It's in front of you. And because you were so blocked, you just weren't able to like reach out and access it. So that was a really positive experience. Other than that, obviously, I feel that when you clear up your physical body, your emotional vibration also clears up. So I had some old suppressed emotions and old negativities come up, and they were literally just coming up to be healed and processed. And if you do this kind of juice cleanse or detox, don't be surprised if you have some like old patterns, old memories, old things that you haven't like let go of. If they come up for healing and cleansing, I feel that that's just a natural part of the kind of holistic detoxification that goes on in an experience like this. And then I felt that the focus and the clarity really helped with meditation. I think that my meditation this week was a lot more deeper, and it felt easier. I think one of the things that I noticed was that it felt as though things were happening, resolutions were, taking place in my life, things were falling into place, and it felt as though I didn't really have to do much. It all just felt easy. I think things that I would have stressed about, usually they just kind of seemed to just happen. So that was also really interesting and positive. And social interactions, I felt that the kind of the physical cleanse cleared up subtle bodies, cleared up the energy around me, and I felt that social interactions were easier. There wasn't as much anxiety that may be there usually, and it felt as though attraction was easy, like just interacting with the world and the kind of oneness with people and beings. I felt that like to a greater degree. So I said that I would mention my 3-day cleanse before. The reason I left it to now was because now that I've shared my 7-day experience with you, it's obviously been really positive and very intensely kind of uplifting on a emotional and spiritual level. But when I did the 3-day one before, it was a massive struggle. I think obviously there were physical, mental, and emotional, spiritual benefits back then too, but I feel I really struggled through that one. And I think partially that's because it's obviously a journey. At the time, I think I wasn't really as used to maybe the detoxification process, and I think you have to be really mentally prepared for it, and I wasn't as mentally prepared for it last time. And mainly, I think my intention wasn't as strong. So if you decide to do this, I would suggest that your intention and your focus has to be quite strong, and your intention has to be for detoxification and to really challenge yourself and rise above the temptations. And so I think this time my intention was a lot stronger, and I think being in that mental place really helped me get through it. Whereas last time, I felt that I just felt so tired, and just felt that I was thinking about food, and I felt weak. Whereas this time, I feel like I felt more stronger and stable than ever before. So it is a journey, and if you try it for like a couple of days, 2-3 days, doesn't go that well, that's fine. It's just part of the journey, and later on you can like try it again. And I think each step just takes you like closer and closer to where you want to be, to like your kind of natural harmonious state of being. So yeah, that was my experience. I hope that helped or gave you something to think about if you were thinking about doing this. So yeah, I'd feel really happy if hearing about my experience benefits someone. So yeah, okay then, bye.